Richard Cool has been in the sheep game for decades. His family farms at Bokerup in the great southern region of Western Australia. It's in the heartland of some of the state's prime farming country.
Now we crop about 3,000 hectares of crop and run 30-odd thousand adult sheep plus lambs, which come from 20,000 ewes. Our country consists of some lower, wetter country, and that suits a mixed farming system. So we're about 55% sheep and about 45% crop at the moment.
He's a highly respected West Australian farmer, known for his long experience in the livestock industry.
And I still remember the day when Emmanuel came out and bought some sheep from us, and I remember thinking with great pride when the buyer said to my dad, "Well, John, they're $20 sheep," and we thought all our Christmases had come at once.
He's followed in his father's footsteps, building a business that for more than 40 years has relied on the live sheep export trade. He sells young and adult wethers, or desexed male sheep, when the feed dries off before the start of Western Australia's long, hot summer. But with the shutdown of the live export by sea trade, due in just over 2.5 years, Richard now has to find another market.
We're facing the situation of what will we do with those 5,000, 6,000 wether lambs. Now we've got to look at alternatives, and obviously trying to value add the wether lamb is the challenge, which I'm sure we'll have to find a way.
And we're here today to talk about the outcome of the transition to live sheep by sea ending in 2028, and indeed the transition package of $139.7 million.
Last month, Federal Agriculture Minister Julie Collins flew into WA to announce details of the federal government funding on offer to ease the loss of the live export market and to develop pathways to grow out and process the animals in the state.
We'll be investing in terms of shearers in the shearing industry. We'll also be investing in terms of the transport industry and those involved along the transport of the sheep industry here in Western Australia. We'll be working, of course, to make sure that we get more money to farmers in terms of on-farm adaptation and, of course, in terms of ensuring that sheep producers as well as abattoirs can access the processing grants that will be run through the Western Australian Government.
In 2023, Landline travelled with a shipment of sheep to Kuwait to witness firsthand the claims by exporters that the live sheep export industry had made changes to the animal welfare standards to meet new export quality regulations required for the journey to the Middle East and at their destination. It follows a series of disasters of mass sheep deaths at sea and illegal sales of animals outside authorised markets. Despite making the changes, the Labor government announced its intention to shut down the trade, a death blow to a vital income stream for WA's sheep producers for almost half a century. The ships act as floating feedlots, taking on average 500,000 sheep a year from farms that need to reduce flock numbers at the onset of summer and deliver them at a weight and size that suits the Middle Eastern markets ready for processing. WA is the last remaining state to export sheep by sea. The industry is worth an estimated $71 million a year to the state's economy and makes up less than 0.1% of Australia's agricultural production. Former Agriculture Minister Murray Watt was determined to see the bill banning the sheep exports by sea passed into law.
And I've been clear from day one that we will be implementing this commitment. We actually took it to 2 elections, not just one, and the Australian people have voted for us to form government. So we think we owe it to the people to implement our election commitments.
12 months ago, it was passed by the Senate and a date set for the final shipment in May 2028. Since then, co-design workshops have been held in the sheep-growing regions, with the government representatives and farming groups grappling with solutions and funding to resolve the challenges.
What I'm hearing is that it's a really good starting point for the sector to move forward.
Dr. Chris Rodwell has been given the task of being the go-between, listening to WA sheep industry and liaising with the Federal Agriculture Minister.
My job has been to kick the tyres really on that level of funding and make sure that we get the appropriate return on the investment for the sector. And really, I guess what I've been pressing is to make sure that there is a direct line of sight across the whole supply chain, and that whatever we do and whatever money is available, it moves everybody forward so that no one's left behind.
The grant money will be delivered in 2 batches on a dollar-for-dollar basis, with $40 million earmarked for supply chain processes to expand facilities, which will be managed by the West Australian Government.
There will be money for processors and part of the cold storage supply chain, but based on the feedback from the Transition Advocate, we noticed there was a significant bottleneck in that is on-farm finishing systems and on-farm feedlotting, and so we will work through that with the federal government as to what that grant process looks like. And as Minister Collins said, we expect that to be opening later this year, so we can actually start getting some money out the door.
The funding package also acknowledges the effect of the loss of the trade on allied workers and rural communities. $1.5 million will go to foster community wellbeing and strengthen community resilience, and $2.2 million for the shearing industry to provide training to shearers and shed hands to learn new skills to broaden their ability to find work on farms. But experienced observers of the West Australian sheep trade are worried the assistance plan doesn't go far enough.
I think we've been shortchanged greatly on the amount of money that's been allocated. 130 million is small change compared to the contribution that the sheep industry has given to the economy, what they are giving us in return for the amount of money they've taken out of our industry by taking live export away and having 2 years of extremely suppressed sheep prices that have sent plenty of people away from the livestock industry and some of them even out of farming.
He believes the focus for federal and state funding should be to establish a new large processing abattoir in Western Australia that would be able to handle big numbers and built to a licensing standard to meet European and US demand for quality Australian sheep meat.
It all starts at kill space. The rest of the industry will grow and develop and take care of itself if we've got the appropriate amount of kill space to process the animals to start with. And then feedlots will grow, those businesses will grow, the trucking industry will come back on board, the shearers will come back on board. But if we haven't got kill space, we are going to be up against it. All we do then is support the eastern states. Too many sheep go over the border and everyone else benefits except for the Western Australian producer.
Richard Cool has seen the West Australian sheep industry rise and fall since the 70s, but he's optimistic that it will eventually recover from losing the live export shipping market.
The market will have sorted itself out by 2028. Producers will be happy with where they're at. Processors will have to be paying good money. And so I am very optimistic that if our flock drops to 9 million from 12 million, the supply will have a big influence on price, and I'm very optimistic that sheep meat particularly will be good. We just need to sort the wool out. And another 200 or 300 cents a kilo clean will do that. I think the sheep industry will come again and will match the grain industry in terms of profitability or gross margins per hectare.